Good morning, it's October 23rd, and this is To My Liberal Friends. And be sure to hit the subscribe button on YouTube or follow me on TikTok. When I was a young boy growing up in the Pittsburgh area, Democrats were in total control of the politics. It was a union town, and union members were expected to vote for Democrats. Republicans were considered the rich people, the ones that belonged to a country club, lived in big houses with manicured lawns. I wonder if they were really proud of those lawns. Today, the political spectrum seems to have been turned on its head. The blue-collar worker is now supporting Donald Trump, and the so-called rich guys are flocking to the Democratic side of the aisle. It's a phenomenon that has made campaigning different for both parties. Democrats are now viewed as a party of white liberal elites and African-American voters. Their agenda is filled with social programs that the government runs and hands out benefits to the voting bloc supporting them. Now, you can see what's happening by simply looking at the blue wall of Midwestern states that have been reliably Democrat, and that wall is slowly crumbling. I'm talking about Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. And all these three states have significant numbers of blue-collar workers, many of them members of a union. But all three of these states are now in play in the current election, and it's because these working-class voters, primarily white, non-college educated, who have felt the Democratic Party abandon them. Nearly 60% of Bill Clinton's supporters were white people without degrees. Only 27% of Joe Biden's were. Non-college white people are the largest voting bloc in the country. So if Democrats lose them overwhelmingly, they need the immense support and turnout among people of color to win. Instead, Democrats have lost ground among non-white voters. Their advantage among Latinos has fallen from 39 points in 2016 to 19 points today. That's a 20-point change. That same New York Times Siena poll found the vice president down 12 points among African Americans compared with Biden in 2020. But here's the thing. It's the working people of this country that have borne the brunt of inflation. They're the ones that have to pay the higher prices for groceries, higher price for gas, higher rents, and higher interest rates. Yeah, the elites of the higher income people are paying those same prices, but it takes a higher percentage of the working class people income to just buy the things that everyone needs to exist. James Carville recently said he did not have to play fair. On the Charlie Stone podcast, The Unknown, he said, quote, "I'm not really interested in being very fair about the whole goddamn thing, okay? I really don't think we should have fought fair against the Germans and Japanese." What a comparison. I think we should have snuck around them. I think we should have now, do what we have to do to win. I think we're literally approaching the same thing right now. But this is the same Carville that famously said during Bill Clinton's '92 campaign, quote, "It's the economy, stupid." He was right then, and he's right now when it comes to the economy. And that's exactly where Harris is losing ground and Trump is gaining in the polls. A new poll from Gallup highlights how dissatisfied the country is when it comes to the economy. They found 52% of Americans say they're worse off now than they were 4 years ago when Trump was the president. Only 39% say they're better off, and you can bet those are the higher income white liberal elites. Gallup states that the last similar economic frustration showed up in a presidential election year was in '92 when Carville made the economy an essential part of Clinton's campaign. Americans' feeling about their own financial standings are tied, not surprisingly, how they feel in general about the U.S. economy. Gallup's economic confidence index showed a score of minus 26, and the fear that it will get worse, which Gallup describes as one of the worst election year readings. And that all spells trouble for Kamala Harris, who would rather keep voters focused on democracy and abortion. But it's not worked so far, as she's losing ground with the traditional black votes, including black men. Black men were worried about the economy, just like the rest of the country. A New York Times poll this month of likely voters found 23% of black men said the economy was the most important issue in deciding their vote. That does not surprise me. Last week, Harris hurriedly released a, quote, opportunity agenda for black men in a blatant ploy to buy their votes. Embarrassingly, the Harris campaign had to quickly clarify that the program she outlined would be available to everyone on a race-neutral basis. So much for just trying to target one voters. It should be obvious to everyone watching this campaign that Harris will say whatever she needs to say to any group and promise them government benefits in an effort to gain votes. It's similar to the student debt forgiveness plan that she and Biden tried to implement. It's popular for those with a debt, but widely unpopular with the rest of the population. Her strategy seems to be one that if you promise enough to enough groups, you can cobble them together to win enough votes. And Democrats are panicking because they know that even a small dip in black support could cost them heavily in consequential states such as Georgia, where blacks are more than 30% of the population, and North Carolina, where they're around 20%. Even in swing states with smaller black populations, that blue wall of Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Democrats still need big margins and turnout in urban areas to prevail next month. Hillary Clinton didn't get it in 2016, which is one reason she lost. And it may be the reason that Kamala Harris loses as well. It's been To My Liberal Friends. Thanks for listening.